Well, g'day everyone. Welcome back to the Perkins Engineering YouTube channel. This episode, number 69, I'm in our little sub-assembly room here, and I was just going to show you how some of the other components of Peter Brock's 1991 Bathurst VN Holden Commodore Perkins chassis number 13. Show you how some of these other components are coming along as we've detailed quite a lot of the chassis side. It's time now to have a look at some of the other components. So what I'll do is I'll grab the camera and show you through. We've had a lot of our parts have been to the crack testers and returned. And then now we can start to detail those parts, work out our next move in kind of rebuilding them, servicing them, and show you some of the roles that things like our original drawings can play in part of the restoration. So I'll grab the camera now and show you what's happening in here. All right, so first up is the diff housing out of the car, which we've stripped all the paint off it, and we were very confident this was the original, if not the closest thing to the original diff housing still in the car. The only difference is the specification. It's got the two top arm mounts on top for sort of VP, VR, VS spec as a 4-link, but we could see there was some marks here where the third link would have been ground off and replaced with the 4-link mount. So we've got all the drawings to redo that, and I'll also upload a photo where there was a texture mark under one of the layers of paint written Advantage, which is obviously Advantage Racing, and there's a PE number stamped in there. It's PE 004. So diff housing's in tip-top shape, and we'll convert that to a 3-link, and then it will end up back in the car. So yeah, that was really good to know that was still there. It's quite tricky having to manufacture a new one of those, so always good when the original Perkins stuff's still in there. And a lot of people will know that the blue RHS was a key feature of a lot of Perkins components, so yeah, it's a bit of a giveaway. So that's the diff housing, and we'll move over to the trolley now with all the other bits. Okay, so on this trolley we've got the Perkins brake master cylinder pedal setups here. We've done the first wash of all those components. The brake balance bar has already been crack tested and re-blackened, so that's ready to go when these parts are all clean and ready to go back together. But we'll need to re-zinc our brake fittings to the reservoirs and things like that, so still a bit of work to go. Clean off our master cylinders, service the master cylinders, and then these are our front calipers. So same thing, we've already blackened some of the mounting bolts for those, and one piece is missing. It's busy getting some detail work done to it now, but once we got that red paint off them, the calipers were in really good nick. So I just need to work out whether it's worth stripping that anodizing and re-anodizing those like we did our 93 and 94 cars, but they were in significantly worse shape than these. I'll chuck a photo up of what they look like just to show you, but yeah, this has got a nice little bit of natural patina, and pretty happy with that. The spacer blocks marked QX, which meant Quick's car, so sort of somewhat original calipers, and then all the pistons and things all again just been preliminary washed. Still trying to get some of this red paint off everything, proving to be a little bit tricky, but yeah, we'll be getting the red paint off those parts. And then down here, it's the rear calipers, still got the hoary red paint on them. We're still determining the spec. I don't believe that's the right spec for 91 Bathurst, so we might be on the hunt for some different calipers, but in any case, we'll still give those a service. Below there, we've got our shock absorbers there, front and rear. Front's on the left, rear is on the right. Just determining the rear shocker spec, whether that's right for 1991. These are the shockers here, I should say, left and right. So the rear ones have a little sleeve that goes over the top with the threads for the spring seats. So yeah, once we've determined the spec, they'll be going to Bilstein to get serviced. And then this is our air jacks. So had them all apart to see if there's any major issues. And it looks like there's only a couple little things that are all replaceable with some of the stock we've got. So that's exciting. And then in here is our diff crown wheel pinion, all the diff ratio and everything straight from the crack testers. So it's actually shows the diff yoke there, which is in a bag now, and it'll have a mark where it's had a crack in it. So we will unlikely be reusing that, and we'll determine the correct diff yoke spec and most likely be making some new ones. Front hubs, crack tested all okay, as well as the wheel studs. So they've been detailed since crack testing, and they're now ready to be blackened by black oxide metal finishes in Dandenong. Pretty interesting that the date on these was somewhat original. This is the left one from March 1990. And if I can find the other marking on this one, right 0390. So they could have easily been the original hubs when the car was built brand new. Up on the top, again, these are our struts. We got them back from crack testing, and quite common with the struts to have a bit of cracking. So to sort of show you, I've got some printouts of the cracking here. So the X-ray machine shows there's a crack in here, and this one you can almost see from the naked eye. Once you get the paint off, it's a lot easier to see. So that's a crack through there and a crack through there, I believe. So there's about 3 or 4 cracks just through all the little tinny sort of sections. Again, pretty common. And so we just weld them up, and then this will start to go back together. I mentioned off the top about drawings. So this car has what we call the offset pin. I'm trying to get a good shot of it. So it's got an offset pin. We know on the early cars, VKVL and possibly the first VNs, this was a straight pin, and you can see the offset on the pin angle to change the geometry. Now, I wasn't sure what this car should have for 1991. I've got straight pins upstairs, so I was prepared to put straight pins in, but the drawing register shows that these offset pins were actually designed in September 91 to get them online for Sandown and Bathurst. So what I'll do is I'll quickly grab that drawing and show you what I'm talking about. So this is Perkins Engineering drawing 619, and I've written copy because this is a photocopy on the mobile letterhead, if you don't mind, just to highlight it was 1991. It's known as a mount offset pin, 18, which would be the measurement of offset, weld on by Paul J. Karukin, 30th of the 8th. So I said September and I meant August 91. So that's the drawing of the offset pin, and that's how we know that those pins can stay in the struts, which is really neat. And yeah, they'll come together quite nicely. Over here on the other trolleys, we've got stuff that we'll still need to service and go through. So things like the wiper motor, all the electronics, the wiring, the ECU, we'll go through all of that. Steering column, that's all set up for power steering. So we'll need to change that back to manual steering. The steering wheel's wrong, the steering boss mount's wrong, but we'll be getting to those parts and items over time. And then this is all the stuff from the boot. So we've got the fuel collector, which is wrong specification, all the fuel lines, fuel filter housings, the brake reservoirs, clutch reservoir, all the overflow bottles. So we'll be picking through all of that stuff soon. Fuel fillers, bit of oil coming out of the oil tank. And for those that follow us really closely, you'll know this is going to be a wet sump. So we'll be doing away with the dry sump oil tank. And then the diff and gearbox coolers down there and some of the suspension items. So we'll be getting to these items in the next few weeks. All right, well, that's a quick look around some of the things that are apart in here. The rear hubs have already been crack tested, all okay. They've been re-detailed, re-black oxided, and are currently getting put back together. So we're excited that we're making progress there. Quite a lot of the other components, the gearbox has gone off to Hollinger's and to get service and things like that. So it's all happening here. I did mean to show you this over the last couple of episodes. As I've been pulling the car apart, every Phillip Island rock from the gravel trap, nuts and bolts, things that were floating around in the cabin while I pulled it apart, I've put them in a Ziploc bag. I think it's up over 1 kilo now. So maybe if Phillip Island wants some stones back from the gravel trap, I can send them back to them free of charge. But yeah, unbelievable to think that you'd be carrying around that much rubbish largely in the cockpit. But that's what happens when the preparation's probably not to my standard. So that's it for that episode. Thanks for tuning in. Really exciting times here, and we're loving this new project and trying to share as much with you guys as possible. So any questions, queries, shoot them through our website, perkinsengineering.com.au. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Facebook's happening, Instagram. We're putting up photos when we don't put up videos. So thanks again for the support, and look forward to bringing you another episode soon. Cheers.